I'm in my Michigan basement that I'm redecorating to use for a painting studio, and these are some chairs I'm working on for display, and I wanted to finish them today, but before I finish them I want to show you some little tips. And I've looked on the internet and I really haven't seen anyone point this out. Of course, I know there's lots of videos, I may have missed it, but when you're using especially latex paint, it's a little more difficult to paint spindles or any intricate wood. We used to use oil, and that you had a lot more play with oil than you do latex. But this is the tip I want to give you. When you're doing the spindle part, a lot of times we'll paint like, most people do this, get all the front done, then they turn around and do the back, do the side, and they'll say, don't do that. Concentrate on getting your spindles all the way around, because if you don't, with latex paint, a lot of times they're sagging, and by going all the way around, you get that. Using thin coats, that's very important too with something like this. But don't just paint the side. Okay, I'm going to paint this, I'm going to paint this, and then I'm going to come back and do the front. Stick with your spindles as you go. Get those done. Okay? And then I paint this little section here first, then I do the spindles. Okay, after you're done with that, these are great, these rollers, and they have them at Myers, and they have all different sizes, these small ones, and I love them. And you can always get refills at Myers too, which I ran into situations where I had the handle but couldn't find the proper size. And this sponge type roller will give you a very smooth finish, and it looks like you painted them. Also, between your coats, use a very fine piece of sandpaper, because you just want to knock the knots off if you have a few, but you don't want to actually take the paint off. Okay, just anything that's, and if you do have some bad spots, maybe wet the sandpaper just a little to like feather it out, so to speak. So also, when you're painting, don't use your main container to dip into. That's how you get what's called trash in your paint. Use a different container, a coffee can or something like this, whatever. And then you keep your main gallon or quart, whatever you're using, fresh and clean, so you don't have to strain it, because those little spots will show up on your furniture. If that's important to you, for it to be neat, and to have a smooth finish, you want to keep pouring from the container into this, and then clean your tools up really good at the end of the night, so that anything that is excess on your rollers or brushes is cleaned up. Now, this is the best size too. I painted for over 20 years, and I can tell you, these small brushes for little places, these are the best. This is a pretty good brush, and it has real fine strands or bristles to it, so it gets in there really nicely and leaves a smooth finish. If you use a big bulky brush, a lot of times it's a heavier coat of paint and it doesn't look as smooth. I like smooth looking furniture myself. So those are my tips, and I hope I may have covered something that helped you. This is the first coat on this one. They're dark brown. This is the second coat. Now I'll be going for the third coat, and probably there'll still be a fourth coat of touch-up. When you're painting over dark colors, it takes a lot of paint, but it's important to keep your coats thin if you want a neat job. They have a additive you can put in latex that makes it smoother. Some people put water in. I've done that before on small places like this so that it's smoother. I will put a little water with my paint, but you want to be careful that it doesn't run. And you only want to maybe do that in the initial beginning, because it will change the color a little bit. So your last coat, you want to try to just use a full strength. So thank you for watching. This is the third video to my Michigan basement studio makeover.